Depending on the situation, sometimes an untold truth can be just as bad and as damaging as just telling a flat out lie.
And I'm like, come on through, Cookie. Come on up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie?
Thank you guys for clicking on the video. This is going to be my review. This is American Crime Season 2, and this is Episode 4. Now, we start right off. The Coach Dan, is actually sitting talking with the headmaster, Felicity Hoffman. Um, it's been found. There's blood and semen has been found on Taylor's clothing from the night of the party. He also has lacerations of the rectum, and problems with his sphincter has actually been tapped, and he child not good, not good. So it's showing like forced entry and this kind of thing, and not good. Um, So the coach literally was like, of course, naturally, he's like trying to take up for the team. And she's like, no, no, something happened. This is what's going on. Damn the bullshit. Enough. Enough with the bullshit. They lied to you. Somebody knows something that went on. So the coach actually ended up going and meeting with the team again. And he's telling them, I can't believe we're here because you all told me that nothing happened, this, that, thing, and the other. He's going through it, and nobody said anything. Well, nobody still said anything. They're just looking at him, and they start arguing amongst themselves, and it was just really stupid. And nothing got found out. No one has come clean about anything. Now the whole time, good old Eric is sitting in the back of the room, looking just a bit uh, guilty, if you will, just a bit guilty. Like things ain't just so, but they didn't clock it or anything. He's just sitting back there, and I said something's not right. So, but we kind of figured anyway from watching these last few weeks that he has something to do with it, or he knows what's going on. So he ended up leaving there, and he went to his dad's job. Now remember, he lives with the mother. He went to the dad's job. He's just sitting there, and the dad has ended up calling the mother, and the mother's come down, and they're kind of going back and forth like, he just showed up here. Something's wrong. Something's not right. This, that, thing, and the other. And that's it. They're not. That was pretty much it. They're battling back and forth with he's going home with who. So she ends up going and taking him on home. Didn't solve anything. I said, this is just crazy. So he's kind of still in this strange state. I said, what's wrong with these people who don't really know their kids? Everybody's so busy that they don't see the difference in their children's behavior. Like, what is really going on here? So I'm like, okay, no problem, whatever. We'll get back to it. Next, we actually see Kevin's parents they've gone ahead. They basically want him to go ahead and tell what he knows. It's like, whatever you know, it's time to tell it, because this shit's getting ready to get real in the field, and you need to be telling whatever it is that you know. So they basically want him to snitch. They want to get ahead of the eight ball, okay, before anything really jumps off. So after that, we go and we end up seeing Taylor's mom as she's speaking with the principal. And the principal's saying, well, there's been some, discovery of this, that, thing, and the other. And then she was very, she didn't want to go, she was vague. She didn't want to go into what was really going on with Taylor. And I say the principal, it's the principal of the Marshall Public School. He's going back to the school he came from, the school that Evie goes to. So he's saying, well, if he doesn't come to us, then we won't really be able to help him. She's kind of looking for support for him, but they don't really know what actually went on. So anyway, he says if he comes out to us and says that something's going on, then we have support for him, but we're not going to, make a special case of him. We're kind of insensitive. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. So that was that. So like Taylor needs to talk, period, for us to do anything. So anyway, he's going back there. He's going to go back to Marshall, and he feels like that's going to be everything will be fine. That's basically what Taylor's thinking, but whatever. So let's see. Next, we actually there's a married couple that we actually see. It's a male and a female, and they are friends of Taylor's mom. And they were saying, we're really glad to be back, be a part of Taylor's life, because she was saying, she just thinks that Taylor maybe needs to spend some time with the male, because there's no male role figure in the house, this, that, thing, and the other, or whatever. So they're there. They're like wholeheartedly there to try to help out, and they actually end up going into the background of Taylor's father. Taylor's father basically wasn't like the mother and father. They weren't really even dating. They were together for about a month, and then she slips up and gets pregnant, and then he just kind of ditched her. He didn't want him. He wanted her to abort and all of that. So, and then she was saying how he would make reference to the baby, calling it and that kind of thing. So he really wasn't there for her nor the pregnancy. So that was that. Next, we actually end up seeing Eric's father ends up going over. And this was like so hard to watch. This was so hard to watch. He is basically bearing his soul to Regina King and her husband, and saying, like for them to type of like band together to try to figure things out and this, that, and the other. They don't know what's going on. But he's saying, he doesn't have the money. He's basically losing his shirt, trying to keep the boy in the school and all of this kind of carrying on. And Regina King basically just shit on his feelings altogether. She's like, look, Kevin already got a lawyer. I ain't really concerned with what your issue is. Whatever. She literally even got so bad as her phone rang while they were talking, and she fucking got up and walked out the room and was talking on her phone and never did come back. Left the man sitting there with her husband. They were real insensitive with it. And Kevin had actually come to the mother and asked her at a point, what could they do to help Eric? And she was like, what are you worried about him for? We worry about you. They ain't gonna be worried about you. We're worried about you. You need to worry about taking care of yourself, and that's it. Period. She's just really, she's cut and dry. There's no guesswork with her. She's, look, damn everybody, you are the most important part, and that's it. So, and I'm kind of wondering, he does worry so much about Eric. Like, I'm wondering, does he know that Eric is gay? Is there some funny business that goes on between those two? I don't know. I can't wait to see how that all turns out. But it's very, very interesting because he's so protective over him. I'm like, I don't know about that. That sound like a little more than a little bromance, if you ask me. But anyway, okay. So Eric ends up having a little bout with his little brother as well. Like, he's all on edge and everything, and he ends up having the brother end up having like a little fight. It was really stupid. Eric just took his frustration out on the brother, choked him all out and everything, and then the brother comes out there and tell him, you think everything's good, everything's not good, everything here is terrible. Everything's terrible, and he feels pretty much left out. They've used the money to put Eric into the good school. They left the baby boy in public school, and he's saying, the Mexicans and the blacks are always fighting every day trying to kill each other, and he's like, everything here at home sucks, and then you're acting stupid. He's like, I can't wait till I turn 16. I'm going to get a car and I'm going to run away. I'm leaving. I'm just going to leave. And he was saying, I want to go down, he's just real immature, so he want to go where J-Lo, where everybody's body's like J-Lo, and they just party all day down toward Miami and all this here. Long story short, he wants to get away from what his reality is. And he's saying, you should come. We should just go. The two of us should go. That whole brother love thing. And Eric kind of looks at him and tells him, no, when you turn 16, go ahead and leave. You leave here. I was like, that ain't good advice, you stupid ass. But his mind space ain't all that good. Because then the next thing we know, we see him drinking beer and taking pills. And he tries to kill himself. And he didn't succeed. He actually ends up in the hospital. Hold right there. And we're going to get back to that. Let me straighten up the rest of this stuff. When I said about the Mexicans and the blacks, I already discussed that, how they fight and carry on. Well, that Mateo finally got to have his fight with Trey. Trey is the little black guy that likes Evie. And Evie always, from what I see, Evie was playing it up and she was all with it and she thought it was cute and all of that when Trey was after her. But now Taylor's back in school. Remember, Taylor's like her little boyfriend. And she kind of like was giving Trey the, child, get away from me, leave me alone kind of thing. And then Mateo got into that. And next thing I know, him and 4 other boys, they jump him. They jumped Trey. And Mateo ended up getting suspended and all of that. And the principal was out there in the midst of breaking it up, and he literally called the boy a nigger. And the principal, you could tell he did not care for that very much. But Mateo was saying, he was kind of trying to put it on the black guy, and he's like, no, I didn't see it that way. I'm not seeing what you're talking about. 4 of you all were jumping on him. So, it's like you're looking more like the aggressor, which Mateo has always been the aggressor as far as what we've seen thus far. He's always been the aggressor. He's jumping up in the boy's face. He has an issue about the fact that, Evie is Mexican or whatever she is, and he's black. Mateo got an issue with it. And Evie's just playing both ends against the middle as far as I'm concerned. She just, I don't know about her. I'm sort of looking at her like she old slick bitch. Anyway, we see another little scene with the headmaster and her old dude. They come to find out they're not actually married. They're not really married. But he was just basically showing concern with all the things that are going down and saying, I'm not going to just sit around and just watch as you are torn up with this whole thing and how it comes out in the media and the parents, and it's going to be a mess. And he made reference to something about his daughter. So I'm sure we're going to hear more about that story. That's some background story. Something happened with his daughter, and I guess she took the heat for what went on. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe that's how they met or something. I don't know, but I'm sure they'll elaborate more into that later. But she was saying, I have to do my work. It's, this, that, thing, or the other. And he's like, well, I just can't sit and watch that. And he said, something about him wanting to marry her. So I'm thinking that they were already married. So no, they're really not. And then another thing to clean up, the Coach Dan, actually is the little girl's father. Now, I don't know whether the mother and father are married, but he is actually her dad. She called him dad. So I guess she is really his daughter. Anyway, long story short, back to our friend Eric. Eric is at the hospital because he's trying to commit Harry Carey. So he's laying up there basically, and his mom is there and his dad is there, and Coach Dan shows up. He talks to Coach Dan, and he admits to having sex at the party with Taylor. And the coach is saying, well, why would you let us go through all this? Why would you let us go through all of this and end up here? You could have just told the truth. I mean, why do we have to do all this? And now you can try to kill yourself and all this. And he said, you finding out I was gay was going to be a problem. And it's going to all be out. And my life was basically over. So I just took pills and some liquor and tried to get rid of it all. And I won't be a problem to you anymore. Well, when he said that he wouldn't be a problem to him anymore, it kind of hit home with how deep shit had gotten out of whack, and that messed him up. You could actually see him in a shift. He walked out, and the parents were saying something to him, and he's not even responding to him, because I think that really hit home with him, and he immediately went home and talked to his daughter. Was telling her, if anything ever happens, please come talk to me. Don't you know you need to know that you can talk to me. So that was good. Very smart, Mister. But yeah, but he kind of left Eric hanging. But whatever. So we had that whole thing. Okay, so now he's presented that information to Felicity Huffman, to the headmaster. Um, and they're like basically getting everything together. They're talking with their lawyers and the board. And there's some more things that have actually come into the situation. There are text messages, because that's what he had told the coach. Yeah, I had sex with him, but he wanted it. I didn't do anything to him that he didn't want done. He wanted it. He wanted the sex and all of that. Then he made mention to the text messages. So they pulled the records. They could see the text messages going back and forth between Eric and Taylor. And I was like, shit, this is going to be a problem. This is why I say an untold truth is just as bad as telling a lie. Taylor's mother doesn't know anything about the text messages back and forth. She doesn't know anything about the interaction with him and Eric at all. Now, naturally, in a rape situation, now we're looking at his word against his word. And then you got these text messages of, are you going to be gentle? I only did it one time and it wasn't too bad. And, oh yeah, something that made reference to like, you could choke me a little bit if you want to. All this playful stuff. But we know it's all going to be a goddamn issue, so, later on. Naturally, Felicity Huffman is playing her role, playing her side of the coin. And she's like, this is what we're going to lean on. And basically, long story short, she basically said they were, the school, Leland is basically getting behind Eric and going to paint a picture of Taylor as being a liar and being a troublemaker. And none of this is looking good for Taylor. And that's the angle they're going to go. Taylor left the school. Taylor didn't say anything about the text messages. And his mother's the one kicking up all the dust. So the untold from Taylor is getting ready to play a real bad factor against Taylor. And this is going to make him look really bad. Anyway, so his mother is made aware of all of this. She goes home immediately, busts through the door. He's in there with Evie, and they're in there kissing, and that's all. That whole thing with him and her, so contrived. But anyway, they jump up, and the mother's going off. She tells Evie three times to get out and go home. Evie's still standing there. Okay, well, his mother done let it rip. Like, what the hell? Did you go there to have sex with him? You didn't say anything. What is going on? Why do you have me? And then she just went there. She told, were you in this and you're hiding things, trying to protect him? This, that, the other. And Evie said her, she's like, don't know what the hell's going on. Like, what the hell she talking about? Then it didn't take her very long before she figured it out. And she says, this is ridiculous. You got me. You're there looking for sex from him. And then you got me looking like a fool out here. And Evie looked like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I'm trying to fuck you, but somebody been fucking you? Paraphrasing. And basically she just looked and she stormed out. And he's like, oh my God. So he's stuck right there in the middle. Everything, all his reality is laid out there. And everything then blew up. And then he tells his mother, I told you, why couldn't you just leave it alone? I told you to just leave it alone, but you wouldn't leave it alone. Why would you do that? And then she got to asking him, did you honestly think, did you think that I wouldn't love you anymore because you were gay or whatever? Who even cares about that, So that was good. But then he basically told her, you left me. You left me. And she said, I did that because I was not good for you. So again, we still got to get to the bottom of that story of what actually happened with her. But the couple is who actually had him. And that's what he said. He didn't want to go back to that again. He didn't even want to kick up the dust of any of this because he didn't want her and his mother and him to be separated. So I guess it's probably some kind of breakdown thing that he was trying to avoid with her. He don't want to be separated from his mother and have to stay with Nate and Patty. That's the name of the couple. This couple. And that whole thing. So that's just all kind of where we ended up. They're in the middle of that. And I guess we'll continue there come next week. But things are really a mess. And the long and short of it, Taylor didn't say enough. His mother said too much. And now everybody's kind of going to their respective corners. And Leland, like I said, is going to get behind Eric. And Taylor is getting ready to have a hell of a fight on his hands. Yeah, that's kind of where we are. It was kind of rough. The ending was kind of rough. It was, emotionally draining, the ending tonight. But that's what we're here for, right? This is good shit. Good shit. It's week to week. It's just getting better and better. All right, you guys. That's it. Thumbs up. Thumbs down. You know how all this works. And I will be back to talk to you guys again next week. All right. Bye, guys.